Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Chris Inman, and I want to first start off by once again welcoming you to the course. I'm glad you are here, and I look forward to working with you and my colleagues, Dr. Stephanie Douglas and Dr. Hungwei Singh. Look forward to working with you as well. So, based upon some questions that I've received from some of you, either in the course or through email or on the discussion board, um, prompted me to make a list of topics that I wanted to address because I figured if they had these questions, then some of you might have these questions as well. So the first thing let's talk about is the COI and the assignments versus the overall assignment, which is to build out your course. So when you're talking about building your course, which is the final submission, what assignments that you're completing in the COI are required to be incorporated in this course and which ones are not required? And I fault myself for this because maybe I just did not do a good enough job of explaining this process to you, and so I apologize. So let's straighten that out right quick. Let me stop sharing that, and then we'll share my screen. Okay, so let's take a look at the modules here real quick. In module one, just for example, you've got it's course culture, and you read a lot of I feel is really good content, and I hope you're either taking notes or printing these pages out because this is really good content and it's really good reference for material that you should keep on hand every time you go to look at building a course or redesigning a course or just thinking about how to do an assignment. So that's the first thing I want to mention. And the second thing I want to mention is you have in module one and let's see, module two and three. Okay, let's start with just those three. So in modules one, two, and three, you've got required assignments, which are these two: adding a profile picture and creating a welcome announcement, and then these two are required. Okay, these two are required both in the sense that you're doing this for the course, but also you're doing this for your future course that you're building and for other courses that you're going to be building or teaching in the future. Regardless of whether you use any of these activities in your course or courses, you always want to have a profile picture in Canvas, always, even though I've got a little South Park avatar of myself right here. And if you want to create one yourself, just ask and I'll show you the website where you can go and create your little goofy avatar. And you always want to have a welcome announcement in your online course. It doesn't matter what the course is, you always want a welcome announcement. So this is a Canvas, universal Canvas issue, and this is a course issue that you'll want to do in the course that you're building for the COI and for your future courses. Let's look down here. The course culture mission statement. That is something that you will use, and the strategies and tools. This is you deciding how I want this course that I'm working on to be taught. How do I want my students to feel in this course? How do I want them to interact in this course with each other, with me? How do I want me to interact in the course? So we're not just talking about content here. We're talking about your actions and words and decisions that you're making to actively create the type of course that you want to create in this online course. That's what you're doing here for these two assignments, the course culture mission statement and the strategies. Let's take a look at these here. You are not required to include any of these assignments in the course that you're building for the COI. These are practice assignments for you to get used to using the Canvas inbox. The Canvas inbox is currently the email system inside Canvas, and it is connected to the Outlook email. So if you start an email in Canvas, your students will receive that email in Canvas and in their Outlook, and they can respond directly from Outlook. So it keeps track of both. But the rest of these, I'm just exposing you to some different types of assignments and some different types of strategies that you really want to think about as you consider the tools and the strategies that you want to use in your course to create the type of course culture, the course environment that you want. Do you want a vibrant online course? Do you want students to feel safe in your course? Do you want them to interact with each other when they're working on assignments? Is your course a really intense research course? What kind of, and is it a type of course where students should be by themselves working on the research? Or is it the type of course where, hey, it's okay for them to work on a couple things together to learn how to do research? I mean, that's up to you. But the intent of these types of assignments here are really to get you to practice using them, and hopefully you'll see some of these and go, I really like that. I think I might use that in my course. One of these is the student cafe. I think every online course should have a student cafe discussion board or a water cooler discussion board or whatever you want to call it. Maybe you want to call it something that's more relevant to your content field or content area. I mean, whatever you want to call it. But the point of this discussion board is to create a safe place for students to talk to each other and ask questions. And every single online course that you have that is taught, students should feel safe and comfortable to talk to each other in that course. And I'm not talking about helping each other cheat. That's not what I'm talking about at all. So don't interpret what I just said as, oh, Dr. Inman wants my students to talk about stuff and help them cheat. And that's not at all what I'm talking about. So please don't think that. Another thing is using Teams to chat with students and to hold virtual office hours. I think that's a great idea for every online instructor. And if you're not using Teams or something else to use to do virtual office hours, then I hope you are using something. Kaltura, I think, is great for recording of lectures in your course and sharing them in your course for a variety of reasons. But, do you have to include these in your course build for this course? Not necessarily. But here's the thing. If you turn in your course for an assessment at the end and you don't have this in there, chances are it's going to be a recommendation. And if you don't have a method and a strategy for you to provide virtual office hours, it's going to be a recommendation. So some of these things, we're going to recommend these because they're key parts of online teaching from an instructional point of view and from a community point of view. Let's look at benchmark 2. So in benchmark 2, you've got some required assignments here, and then you can choose from a list here. So realistically, none of these assignments that you're doing are required to be part of the course that you're building for assessment, okay? This is more or less our way of getting you to practice some of these different kinds of assessments, to think about these, to hopefully spark a thought process in your mind and say, how could I use this? I've got this project that I've had them working on. Maybe one of these will work with that. That's what that's for. So none of these assignments are really required to be part of your um, course build, but you're going to have some assignments. Um, Bookmark 3. Again, this has oh, by the way, let's see. I really hope you did a good look at this discussions uh, page, the discussions, a deeper look, because this is essentially a, a cheat sheet in best practices for how to conduct good discussions in your course. Good discussions are not easy to do. I know that some of you have been students in an online course and you've seen some really bad ones from a student perspective. And I've experienced that from a student, but I've also seen a lot of bad ones from an instructor position. It's not easy to do. So read that if you plan on using discussions, and I hope you did and took note of that. Let's go back to benchmark 3. Again, all of these 3 pages here, I mean, again, you should be printing those out, taking notes, making notes for all of these. I mean, they're cheat sheets for you. And then this, if you're going to be teaching an online course, there's a very high probability that you're going to be using some form of lecture capture to teach your students. So chances are when you're teaching an online course, even if you have publisher content, there's probably going to be some times when you're going to be recording some mini lectures. This could be 5 to 10 minute little lectures that you do. You could be recording some video to provide feedback on assignments. Maybe you've noticed on one assignment, man, I thought I taught this section really well, but the tests are lower than I thought. And then you go back and look and you realize, oh, okay, so there's a specific area. So the second half of chapter 2, they really struggled with understanding. So what I need to do, I need to go back and do a little reteaching here, that sort of thing.